Okay, we have 4 bills and 20 minutes.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask the testifiers to be brief.
Yes.
Senator Mendoza.
Thank you. Let me just cut that in half right now, Madam Chair. Okay. First of all, thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing us to present SB-1332. I would like to begin by offering amendments as recommended on page 7 of the analysis to expand exceptions to all firearms in the loan provisions and to codify the reporting requirement that is currently in findings and declarations. An unfortunate string of tragic events involving the use of firearms resulting in death or serious injury continues to plague our nation and our state. Too many preventable incidents occur in which injury is caused by irresponsible acquisition of a firearm. This trend can be reversed by continuing to strengthen California's laws regarding firearms. SB-32 will ensure the safety of Californians by establishing reasonable requirements for the loan of a firearm and by creating a safekeeping program to store a firearm properly when a gun owner leaves their property. Specifically, this bill reduces the firearm loan period from 30 days to 10 days, but keeps other current requirements in place. It will also allow an exemption for safekeeping or storage purposes when a firearm is maintained locked and or inoperable for a period not to exceed 30 days, and will also require that the Department of Justice to modify its registration form so that both spouses and domestic partners may register as owners of a firearm. With that, Madam Chair, I would respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you very much. Witnesses in support of the bill?
Amanda Wilcox on behalf of the California chapters of the Brady Campaign to Prevent Gun Violence. We like the proposal to change the loan lending period from 30 days to 10 days. The waiting period in California is 10 days. If someone needs a gun in an emergency situation, they can acquire a gun through a loan, but after 10 days, it seems reasonable to expect that they would go through the regular process with a background check and there'd be a record for the gun. So that makes sense to us to reduce that length of time, minimizing the period in which a person without the background check and no record has a gun. I look at this bill through the lens of suicide prevention. I live in Nevada County, and our gun violence issue in Nevada County, similar to many rural counties, is suicide by firearm. And one of the times where we actually would like to see a loan of a gun is when there's a risk of suicide in the home and get that gun out of the home. And so this provision with storing a gun, the exception where the gun can be stored where it's locked securely, I'd like, because I've always thought, are we just removing that risk of suicide or an accidental gun death to a new environment and a new home? Though I am still concerned about stolen firearms, which is a big issue, and I'd like to see it further narrowed to the gun being in a locked container or a safe to ensure more secure storage.
Thank you.
But we are in support.
Juliet Leftwich, Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence. We actually are taking a support, if amended, position on this bill. We believe that the current 30-day loan period is too long, and we would love to see that reduced to 10 days. We feel, however, that the exceptions are overbroad, particularly the exception that would allow an indefinite loan period if the gun is kept in the lender's home. That could arguably apply to someone who's a renter in the property or, others visiting. We would love to see it just reduce the existing loan period to 10 days period. We don't feel like those exceptions are really necessary. As Amanda was mentioning, if suicide is a concern, perhaps there could be an exception narrowed that would specifically allow the loan of a firearm in instances where a person is at risk of suicide, or if that's the concern, I would like to see it narrowed to that. So we would appreciate the opportunity to work with the author on possible amendments to the legislation.
Okay, thank you. Are there others in support of the bill? Are there speakers in opposition to the bill?
Madam Chairman, members of the committee, Craig DeLuz with the Firearms Policy Coalition. In part, we actually kind of like the bill because it is specifically in the area where it actually brings firearms policy, firearms law in line with California community property laws and allowing joint registration, so we don't have an issue with that. Our concern, it does have to do with the loan provisions. Currently, right now, with the 30-day period, it provides a sufficient enough window that if someone is in a position where they do feel a need to be able to have access to a firearm, and they are, in fact, going through the process of purchasing a firearm, they will duly be covered. If you limit it to 10 days specifically, then the concern that has is that there is actually no wiggle room. So if the Department of Justice, who's actually come to this body, and this body has passed legislation and supported legislation that has allowed them to extend it as far as 30 days, that individual would then not be covered. They would not have the same protection and the right to have a firearm. We believe that the exemptions that are included are too onerous. We believe that all of those right now are already covered under existing law. In terms of some of the concerns relating specifically to the issue of suicide and suicide prevention, one only need look at a community or a society like in the case of Australia, where they have all but banned firearms, but yet and still they've just experienced the highest year of suicide that they've ever had. I point that out because although the incidence of suicide is there is no correlation. Although firearms may be the preferred method, it is not the only method, and not having access to a firearm, clearly, at least in the case of Australia, has not deterred individuals from committing suicide. Additionally, our concern is related to some of the concerns that have been brought up specifically relating to lost and stolen firearms. We're talking now about firearms that have specifically been loaned to someone who has taken a firearm safety course, passed it and received a certificate. These are individuals who know how to safely and have proven that they know how to safely handle and store a firearm. We believe that for these reasons that you should oppose this measure. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Others in opposition? Seeing and hearing none, are there questions or comments from members of the committee, or is there a motion on the bill? The bill has been moved. Any questions or comments? If not, Senator Mendoza, would you like to close?
Madam Chair, respectfully ask for your aye vote, and thank you for your time.
So the motion is move as amended to appropriations. Please read the roll.
Hancock?
Aye.
Hancock, aye. Anderson? No. Anderson, no. Glazer? Aye. Glazer, aye. Leno? Aye. Leno, aye. Liu? Liu, aye. Monning? Aye. Monning, aye. Stone?
Okay, that bill has enough votes to get out. We'll hold the roll open for the absent members.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members.
13, SB-1332 by Mendoza. Chair voting aye, Vice Chair voting no.
Stone? Stone, no.
5-2, that bill is out.